Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm your host, Torri Webster. Welcome back to That Digital Take. This episode is brought to you in partnership with Smashbox, and I am so excited to kick things off by talking about a true MVP in my makeup bag, the Smashbox Pore Vanishing Primer. And this is a brand new product for Smashbox. You know I'm constantly in front of a camera, on a red carpet, hosting events, and filming content. So when I say this primer does the most, I really mean it. It instantly smooths out the look of pores, controls shine all day, and locks in makeup for up to 12 hours. Like, this really is the backbone of my beat. And what I love the most, it's oil-free, so it doesn't clog the pores, and there's zero white cast. It just gives that velvety, soft focus finish that makes you feel like you're wearing a filter, but in real life. Whether I'm getting glam for press, podcasting, or running around Toronto, this is the step that sets the tone, okay? You can grab the Smashbox Pore Vanishing Primer now at Shoppers Drug Mart, and trust me, this will become a staple in your routine like it is for me. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. I'm so excited to welcome a beautiful guest today. We have Jordan Quinn with us. Welcome to the pod, Jordan.
Thank you so much.
Today, I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about disrupting drinking culture and building a buzz-free beverage brand, which I'm so pumped about. And we're going to chat a lot about like your sober entrepreneurship journey and also launching of the beverage brand that we're going to discuss today, which is Team Spirits. So welcome to the pod. Very, very pumped to have you here.
Thanks, Torri.
I feel like I should start on a little funny personal sentiment because I had these in my fridge because you were kind enough to send some along. And my boyfriend, he took a bunch with him to go golfing with his guy friends. And he came back and he's like, yeah, like I just had a great day. Like I was like, by the way, like I love like the drinks you had in the fridge. Like I just got like the perfect buzz. And I was like, oh babe, like those are non-alc. And he's like, oh my God, I think I had like a bit of a placebo effect. And I like had the best golf day, but I didn't realize I was drinking non-alc. And he's like, I gave them to all the guys and we were like, woo. And so I just had to share that with you because I thought that was hilarious. So it passed first.
Fabulous.
And then also, yeah, they tasted so good that the guys had no idea.
Sober.
So I thought that was like, I know you can have a good time sober, imagine. Okay, so anyways, had to give you that sentiment, but let's dive in. So question one, let's start at the very beginning. What made you launch a non-alcoholic beverage brand? Was there a personal moment or sort of a cultural shift that sort of sparked this whole idea?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Torri. So today, the day that we are filming this, I'm 615 days sober.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Massive. So that's just like a little over 20 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
How has that journey been for you?
Amazing.
Okay.
For me, I always like to say I had the gift of desperation.
Okay.
I had no choice but to get sober. Like Torri, I was drinking every single day from 7 a.m. till I passed out.
Oh, like, wow.
Yeah, I really struggled with actually using alcohol as like a coping mechanism, which so many people do.
Absolutely.
I think being an entrepreneur is very high stress and all of these things, and life in general is anxiety provoking. And so I turned to alcohol quite a bit. And so needless to say, on October 18th, 2023, I got sober.
Wow.
And once it really started to stick and I kind of got comfortable in my sober skin, so to speak, and I started going to events and things of that nature, I was like, I want something in my hand. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right.
And so I wanted something that was adult, that was sophisticated, that wasn't just a Diet Coke. And so I created it.
I love that.
With my dad.
Have you also heard the sentiment that a Diet Coke is like a refrigerated cigarette?
100%.
And it's very true. So also a bad habit. Like this feels like it can be filling the blanks for a couple bad habits.
100% it is. It's low sugar as well, which is great. So, which you don't necessarily, you get with a Diet Coke, I suppose. But
so with your dad, that's interesting. Was there does he have a tie to sobriety as well? Or was it just because he wanted to support you? How did that come about?
He wanted to support me.
Aww,
so my dad,
nice.
I get emotional thinking about it. My dad is my biggest cheerleader. I always say he's like the biggest member of my team.
Love.
And so my dad actually has a background in the sports industry.
Okay.
Which is where a lot of the sporty kind of branding came for Team Spirits. But yeah, it was, there was no one else I would work with.
Aww.
Like there's no one else I would work well with.
Right. So there you go. It's the
so it was my
partner.
dad. Yeah. So together we did everything from, finding the co-packers, creating the formulas like from scratch. And it came with its trial and errors for sure, but we're really excited with what we're putting out there today.
That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Were there any really surprising roadblocks that kind of came about when it came to product, development, and then also sort of you are breaking away from the traditional drinking norms of like culture. So what kind of came around when it came to branding and making something, to your point, that doesn't scream non-alc in a great way? Like clearly Adam and pulling from my fridge didn't even realize it was non-alc. Yeah. Was that on purpose?
For me, it was.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of non-alc brands scream, as you said, like non-alc, and it's a little too much. Part of this whole sober movement is a lot of people just want to feel like inclusive. They want to feel a part of something. They want to be a part of the team. I'm going to keep throwing that out there.
But I like that. Yeah.
And in doing so, we really did want to do something that was still a nod to, alcohol. It's just like the spirits side of things.
Yeah.
It's just obviously alcohol is removed from the product.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. And can you talk a little bit about what those first couple of months in that journey looked like for you? Because I feel like there's a lot of young people now that are genuinely interested in either removing alcohol from their life completely or having a more balanced, nuanced relationship.
100%.
Right. And I think that for the, like we discussed, like the hardest part is showing up to those social events, getting comfortable in your skin. So what were some of those skills that maybe you learned doing that?
Always have an exit strategy. Honestly.
How quick can I get out of here?
Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
No, honestly, that's the best way I'm going to put it. The hardest things for me, Torri, were like weddings, where you like things like that. And it's like, you know what? I'm out of here at 10.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because
creating your own boundaries.
100%. Nothing. The way I think of it is my sobriety has to come first so that everything I love doesn't come last again.
That's nice.
So with that, it's like my best friend's wedding. I love you so much, but I have to leave when the bar starts getting and things get a little sloppy. Like I gotta go because it's uncomfortable for me at this point. So I think I'm so lucky because a lot of the good people in my life that are still in my life, because you do lose a lot of people when you make these kind of big adjustments in your life.
Talk about that, because I think that that's very relatable for people. Choosing a life of sobriety can sometimes mean isolating yourself and also realizing, oh God, maybe we weren't as close as I thought we were. We were just party friends.
You just nailed it. It's such a sobering thought, to put it plainly. Like I was devastated by like a few losses that I had, or even just really realizing that like certain friends that you had, the drinking was the common thread or was the tipsy foundation that your relationship was built on. And so to eliminate that, I've had a lot of really awkward sit downs with some friends where you're like, we have nothing to talk about anymore.
We have nothing in common because the party was the common.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that that's less my story, but very much the story for a lot of my girlfriends that I've created outside of, within my sobriety. Like since I've gotten sober, I've actually created such a cool community of girls that I just adore. But a lot of them have struggled with completely losing the party friends. Mm-hmm. You have to keep in mind, Torri, by the end of my drinking career, I was drinking alone by myself in my bedroom, complete isolation. Like I wasn't the party girl. Yeah. So it depends sort of where you're at in your addiction, I guess. Or if you're not even an addict, and maybe it's not an issue for you. But
how did COVID potentially play a role in that? Because I even know for myself that the pandemic sort of, not only did it obviously isolate us and keep us in our homes, but this was like probably the first time even in my life where I was like, oh, it's a Monday and I'm alone and I guess I'm going to have a glass of wine, because there was nothing else to do. There was no socialization. Right. So did that make a difference in your lifestyle when it came to the pandemic and everything?
It's a great question, because 100%. It was very difficult. It was also at the height of like some just bad relationship stuff for me. I was like previously engaged and all that drama.
Wow. Okay.
And so it was really difficult. I would say that is where my drinking took off. Mm-hmm. I'd say it was like really bad for probably almost 5 years. Wow. But like 3 of those years were the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing to do.
Yeah, and it's depressing.
I was like, I don't know if I have to go to AA or Weight Watchers, but I got to go to one of them. Like that's what I was thinking by the end of COVID. I went to AA. It just took me a couple years.
Right.
Later.
You chose your choice.
Exactly.
I get it. Well, I also appreciate how open and honest you're being, because I think what I love about this space and specifically the podcast forum is getting to sit down with people one-on-one, having a more lengthy conversation, because it is so easy on social media to even glamorize sobriety in a way, which, I mean, maybe we talk about that a little bit. I know there's a lot of Gen Z followers that listen to this pod. It's like, talk about how you look at influencer culture now when you see these people online, and I don't want to name names, but like, maybe I even can, because I feel like this is a part of their culture. But like, we think about like a Hallie Batchelder. Have you seen her on TikTok? She is like, party on you, party. Like, that is her brand, for lack of a better word. I have no judgment against that. Live your life, girl. All good. I think part of it is actually quite hilarious to follow along with and watch, and I can appreciate that. But do you, as someone on the other side of this and someone that has fully explored sobriety and realizing the addiction that can be underneath a lot of that, how do you grapple with that relationship that young people are having with these like parasocial relationships with influencers, where they're making drinking seem almost like it's the cool thing to do?
Yeah. I love, like, sorry, you're very good at this. It is, it's so true. And I even know myself back in like 2018, I wrote my first book, and it was called Corkscrewed, and it was the cocktails and confessions of a modern dating girl. And it was like every chapter had a cocktail pairing. And so from there, I ended up developing an alcoholic wine, and my brand became very alcohol heavy. And so much of your identity becomes wrapped up in like, oh, I'm a drinker. I'm that girl that sophisticatedly always has a glass of wine in her hand. And then there's this part of me that goes, I don't want to be the person that then makes sobriety my entire identity. But there's no denying that, like, it's one of the things I'm most proud of in my life now, just because I did have to completely rebuild, from rock bottom.
Yeah. And not only personality,
brand,
but brand and everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there is then potentially a bit of a detriment to young people that consume that type of content day in and day out? Because I know for myself, I think about early influences, Gossip Girl, Sex and the City. There's no doubt that part of the things that I find myself drawn to, whether that's sipping a Dom Perignon or buying a Manolo Blahnik or whatever those influences might be, came from my culture and what I was experiencing. So it does make me a bit fearful, because the party culture of influencers right now feels so
overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I guess it's funny you're saying this, Torri, but so much of the content that I consume now is sober culture.
Yeah.
Because that was...
Maybe I've got to clean up my For You page.
I'm like, you know what? It's funny you say that, but like, I talk about a cleanse that I sort of did in those first few months of sobriety. It was like, okay, got to get rid of people, places, and things that no longer serve me.
You're like, not interested. Don't serve me that content.
And it's such a big part of our life now as digital. So it's like my online world had to change completely as well. So I'm not consuming as much of that content, but younger people, I suppose they are. I think for me, I definitely would recommend shifting that if you can, if that's something that's of interest to you. However, Gen Z apparently drinks a lot less than millennials did.
Yeah. And maybe that's also the blurred line. It's actually probably millennial creators creating that content, but then Gen Z potentially consuming it.
Yeah.
But they're more into like vapes and other things that I've never understood.
Vapes for sure. And that's a whole other issue. Yeah. My whole thought is that drinking will be what cigarettes is today in 10 years.
Yes.
But then it'll come up and it'll be vapes are what alcohol is in like 20 years kind of thing. Like that's kind of how I'm looking at it from a health perspective. Like it's like even the in the States, they now need warning labels on alcohol bottles. So
yeah, it has shifted and it's changed a lot. To kind of everything we've discussed, we are in this exciting boom where actually sobriety is, I never want to say like the cool thing to do, but it's far more accepted and far more celebrated. How have you found in building team spirits a way to kind of allow your brand to stand out and allow your brand to jump off the shelves in a world where like Heineken Zero, Peroni Zero, like there's a lot of more, well-known, I guess, brands that are coming out with
household names.
Zero proof. how have you kind of worked on your marketing and branding to kind of fit into that booming space?
Yeah. So my dad, again, my business partner, has always said, a brand is a promise consistently kept. And I think that that's one thing we are doing consistently with Team Spirits is coming to the table, showing up as Dan Quinn, Jordan Quinn, with our brand story, which of course is my own personal wellness journey. And I think that that's a real differentiator for us. That's cool, Peroni, that you've got your 0.0,
Yeah.
but have you actually walked through the trenches of addiction and come out on the other side today?
And can you talk about not only obviously launching the brand, but building a lifestyle brand alongside it? Because I think that it's weird how now in today's day and age, we are almost demanded to build a whole lifestyle around a brand, even though it's a product selling, proposition. What has that been like when it comes to, building the Team Spirits identity?
Oh, it's actually our favorite part.
Oh, good.
Like
Okay.
mine and my dad's, like we are approaching this not as like beverage gurus by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
We're actually approaching this as like brand marketers. So this is totally up our alley, and creating that identity and the character and the brand position and the brand mission has all been just a joy. So we're all about celebrating life's occasions, and we're about fun, unity, and tradition. And it was really easy when it came to developing the brand. It was like, we just want it to be our own lifestyle.
Yeah.
Just put on a can.
It doesn't need to be overly
that's
complicated.
My dog. Yeah.
It is. That's your dog.
Pierre. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we wanted it to be fun and whimsical. And again, there obviously is a bit of a marketing angle to it too. We're really focused on like the 30 to 40-year-old woman. And currently the Frenchie is like the number one dog for those women.
So your
I was like,
audience.
I know my girl.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
And have you been able to use people in your community that are also sober or not to kind of, test out branding, test out product? Like, how has that been?
Plenty of focus groups.
Amazing.
Really great, actually. We were able to, we came out with our first cans in January, just in time for dry Jan. We were so excited.
Perfect.
Ended up having a canning malfunction.
No. What happened? Talk about that. Because sometimes the failures are just as much, and they're not even failures. They're just like roadblocks.
Learning opportunities.
Yeah.
But, it was one of those things where our cans, they just, there was an issue with them leaking through the seam. I don't know the canning mechanics, but yes, nevertheless, it was leaking. And so that was like not okay. So we pulled our product, and we're actually like, again, relaunching in June, just in time for dry July, which is super exciting.
That's become a thing. Talk about dry July a little bit. Is that because people need the summer month?
I'm just thinking that that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
I only heard of it last year during my first dry July. I was like, well, I guess, Lord willing, You're
July
like,
it's dry 365. So
yeah, but no, that's so the cans were that was fun going through that, but we were able to actually kind of do focus groups between then and now.
So that's actually great.
100%. We changed our formulas,
amazing,
which we are so proud of now. So you'll have to get your boyfriend to try out our new formulas and let us know if he gets the same buzz.
He must have been trying the old ones then.
The old ones, bring him the new ones and let me know what he thinks.
Aww.
But
when you think about young people now that might be curious about potentially stepping away from their relationship with alcohol, do you have anything that is like maybe a great first step? Like, is there, or were you just like cold turkey, or like how does that work?
So do you want to hear how I got sober story?
Sure. Yeah. Please tell me.
I did go
people
cold
will be,
but I tried to get sober like 5 times, like by myself, and I would go like a couple days or whatever. Not even like, honestly, Torri, I think I went 48 hours once. Right. That was the most I was able to do because I needed this. Like my body craved it.
Right.
It felt like it was shutting down.
Detox, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. But your body physically struggles.
Right.
I got into a drunk fight with my sister and my brother-in-law. And we don't fight, but like when you're drunk, like so I was rage texting them, and I thought I was talking to my sister, but I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I said some really nasty things, and then I tried to make things better, and he said, I think you need help. And help had been recommended quite a few times by my concerned parents and stuff like that. But there was something about this time where I was like, you know what, I need to try, because my brother-in-law lost someone very close to him to alcoholism. And he said, I don't want to lose someone else
Mm-hmm.
to this disease. And he's like, will you go to a meeting with me? I'll take you to a meeting is what he said. And so I was like, sure. So like any normal alcoholic, I pre-drank for my AA meeting.
Wow.
And then I showed up drunk. And then
were you honest about that?
I was.
No way.
I was.
That's crazy.
And when you're I had no idea, but when you're at a meeting, they have a chip system. Are you familiar with this?
A little bit. I've had family members go through the program,
okay.
so a little bit, but
Yeah.
not a ton. So please share with the
it
audience.
just essentially you can get a chip for various periods of sobriety under 1 year. And so they call out like, like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 month. And there's a 24-hour chip. And it's the most important chip of all.
Wow.
And I couldn't go get it that night. I couldn't go pick it up. And so we leave that meeting and my brother-in-law is driving me home and he goes, this person in his life for 8 years never got a 24-hour chip. And it just, I was like, I can do this. Like something ignite. I needed to go get that freaking chip.
Yeah.
And so I
like the reward system. It's a good
100%.
Yeah.
And so, 24 hours later, I went and got a chip with my brother-in-law there, with my whole family there. And that chip system kept me going back every single week, twice a week. And so that's kind of how I got sober. And I forget what this even started with, what the question was.
No, that it just was, the question was like, what were those first early steps? And I think that's it, right? It's starting 1 day, 2 days, 3 days.
Exactly.
Like, it's not, I'm going to be 600 days sober in the future. Because you're not thinking about that. You're just, I'm
sober today.
24 hours.
Yeah. And that's so program of me to say, but it's like, it's 1 day at a time.
Yeah.
We really like, tomorrow's overwhelming. Yesterday is full of regrets. Like I can't live in either of those time zones anymore. So I need to live in today, which is something that I still struggle with. But, at the end of the day, you can fight for 1 day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you been able to make a lot of friends?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think
positive.
That's where I was able to really turn my social into a positive place for me too. Yeah. So I've met so many wonderful women specifically.
Wow.
And men. But I actually created a sober social club called Served Supper Club with one of my girlfriends, Danny, who I also met through the program.
Cool.
We both went to Western, which was such a party school, and have now become sober. And yes, we have this group of 156 women, and we get together in smaller groups and have dinners and lunches and mocktails, and it's fabulous. So yes, I've got genuine friendships.
I think that's so positive. And it just goes to show that any small effort can lead you down a path that is just so positive and bring you to where you want to be. And that's very inspiring.
It doesn't, not just sobriety.
Yeah, exactly. Have you noticed a change in the way people are talking about wellness and drinking online? I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, but have you noticed it either within your circle or online in terms of the content you're being shared?
Yeah. So wellness in general, I think is such a broad term, and like where my wellness girlies at? They're everywhere because there's so many ways to look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as far as the content that I'm consuming, I am noticing a lot of people that are just even, they call it zebra striping, where you have one alcoholic drink and you have one non-alc, and then one alc and then non-alc.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think people
zebra striping.
Zebra striping.
Oh, striping.
Yeah,
okay.
I was like, okay, that's a thing. But yeah,
that's not a bad strategy.
No, so doing things like that. I'm getting old, and I've got friends that are, now moms, and they don't have time to be hungover anymore.
No,
so
totally.
They're adjusting their lifestyle like that too. And I think from the content perspective, there's a lot of people that are also sharing the negative side effects of alcohol.
Totally.
Why on earth is it please drink responsibly when there's so many, it's a class 1 carcinogen.
Yeah. We poison ourselves.
You poison your brain. And
truly.
Yeah. That's what I was doing every single day.
Right. And there's really nothing worse than a hangover. Let's all hold hands and say that.
Anxiety.
Oh yeah. Anxiety. Did you deal with that by the end?
The worst.
Yeah.
It was a cyclical pattern, right, Torri? So it was anxious, drink to pacify the anxiety, then wake up, even more anxious, drink to pacify the anxiety. And it was just this cyclical pattern that I just could not break out of. And I'm not going to lie, the first few days of sobriety, thank God I had that freaking chip. And I kid you not, it didn't really leave my fist for that first 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because it was hard coming off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like sitting, really being comfortable with yourself and really being cozy in your own emotions. I think for young people, but specifically anyone, doesn't really matter if you're young or not, it can just feel very daunting, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't even know honestly who I was without alcohol, as we just talked about the brand that I
The
completely built,
identity.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I like to say that alcohol or getting sober didn't rid me of all my problems, but it allowed me to start working on them, if that makes sense. So it was
does.
like, it was no longer like my anxiety wasn't gone, but I could actually start working on like, what am I anxious about?
Yeah, what are we here to do,
What am I
to
doing?
accomplish?
Yeah.
So back to team spirits, what has social media in a positive way played in terms of building your brand and also like how you deal with influencer culture or, community building online? Are you said you're excited about the marketing side of things. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, of course. No, I think what's so exciting to me is like we're made in Canada. We're also made in the United States. We have, factories on both sides of the border.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. And it's allowed us to be global by being online.
Amazing.
We connected with plenty of Americans before we even launched this product, or decided that we were going to launch a product in the States.
Yeah.
We started realizing that people were asking for us in Louisiana. We had connected with Derek Brown and Maria Bastich, and they're actually like mixologists, and they helped us create these formulas.
Cool.
And so just getting to work with so many amazing people that we wouldn't be able to if we didn't have the boundlessness of social media. So
absolutely.
It's been phenomenal. And of course, getting to kind of, in a really weird way, bring people into the world of team spirits through our page. Like you can really kind of experience that Polo Ralph Lauren-esque world that we're creating with Pierre.
And have you felt that a certain platform has been a better fit than others? And what does that look like for you guys? Is it Snapchat? Is it TikTok? Is it like, where do you guys land in terms
of Instagram? 100%. Yeah. I think for me, it's my own insecurities. I think we would do well on TikTok.
For sure.
I just don't know how to use it properly. It's
totally
fair. I'm not a Gen Z. I got to figure that one out still. And we will. Yeah. And that's the cool thing is that there's no major rush on that. Like
there's so much space to learn. Yeah.
Yes. I will eventually tackle that.
Yeah. You can cross-pollinate everything on Instagram onto TikTok. So
I can do that.
100%.
Okay.
Everything you're creating can just be reshared.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can do that.
Yeah. I can do that. What is your take on TikTok's influence, as we talk about TikTok, in sort of shaping beverage trends? Because I feel like it's been massive. Like we think about, when certain coffees were so like famous in the pandemic, people were making such a specific morning brew. And then we think about like, spicy Paloma people are making, whatever. Like people just love an ingredients list or a recipe list when it comes to TikTok. How has that maybe played into the shaping of the drinks you've chosen to make and or like are developing?
Your questions are just so good, Torri. It's like you've done this before or something.
No,
you know what? TikTok, admittedly, didn't influence any of this.
Sure.
But data did for sure, which I'm sure is in part pulled from TikTok. We worked with a lot of amazing like flavor houses and stuff. We worked with a flavor house to develop our drinks. Flavor Some is what they're called. They are both on both sides of the border as well. And so this is a data-driven like selection of beverages that we've chosen. We have a Paloma, we have an Aperol Spritz, and we have a Moscow Mule. And so those are three of the most popular beverages right now in North America, at least.
The Aperol Spritz, like that's the one because it's like that's what everybody wants to order.
I'm telling you,
just
it's
remove
summer,
the Prosecco and remove the Aperol and party on. What is the fix for no Aperol? Like an orange bitter?
Orange bitter.
Okay.
Orange bitter. Yeah. And we used to do the orange bitter there. And then, and I can't forget that like in August, hopefully we are launching a spicy margarita. So
cool.
But you know what I mean? Like you gotta get them all.
Because those are like
Collect
the drinks that I would,
as
my friends and I would order, like a picante,
For sure.
But now, non-alc, no hangover.
Exactly.
Glowing
the
skin.
hangout's not the hangover.
Yeah. Perfect. What is the most unexpected consumer use or feedback you've received from someone so far that has loved the drinks?
Okay. I don't want to like promote this, but it has apparently been an amazing mix.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just
You're like,
unraveled
as
the
I've
entire
right.
podcast.
Right.
But yeah, it's
No, but that could be a good way in.
to zebra stripe.
Yes, to zebra stripe if you want to be more thoughtful about your consumption. That is really good.
It's because it's a really great base. The other thing that we are actually doing with the hut here in Toronto is we're actually making them into slushies.
Cool.
Yeah, that are going to be available at their slushie machine. So our Paloma, which is our newest flavor.
Wait, that's exciting.
I'm really excited about it.
Very cool.
So yeah, we're hosting an event on July 8th.
Fun.
And we're going to have the Paloma there celebrating Dry July. So
wait, that's really cute.
Yeah.
Slushies. That's very exciting. And I feel like the community-led events where you get to meet people in person, have people try the product.
I love
it
that.
goes such a long way.
It really does.
Yeah.
The community, I can't say enough about it. Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, love the online world, but something about
bring it
tangible
experiences
makes it feel really nice.
Exactly.
So do you see your product as part of a larger wellness routine, or is it more of just the social ritual as we've kind of discussed here today?
Ooh, I think that it's definitely part of a larger movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is about celebrating life's occasions, like with friends, family, and team spirits.
Yeah.
I think that it's about inclusivity in the way that you can be a part of the function and you can actually create core memories that you'll actually remember. And I think that is more than just a beverage, you know?
I agree. Actually, it's just on the very bottom right where it says non-alc. It's pretty small.
Right here. Yeah.
Which is so good. I feel like it's not really screaming. Because you know that whole issue when people stop drinking, and maybe you dealt with this a little bit or maybe you didn't based on your experience, but you know, there's certain friends that will show up and they'll say, okay, yeah, like I'm not drinking this month, and everyone goes,
yeah, like,
and there's like
no
the
fun.
boo-hoo, like, no, you have to party with us. So I like, and as soon as you see like a Sun Brew or like a zero Heineken, everyone's like, you're not drinking. Like,
are you pregnant? Like, I get that all the it's just
true,
that
like,
too.
No. So something about this where it is a little bit more hush.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I just have my vodka soda.
Yeah,
Don't bother
You just
me.
wait. Everyone's going to know about Team Spirits. They're all going to know it's non-alc. I'm just kidding. But,
and the fact that it has the word spirit on it too.
Exactly.
So I'm sure that was also strategic.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yes, exactly. What is your hot take on alcohol culture today, especially, we kind of talked about this already, but like the nightlife space and the fact that everybody's like just constantly out and about and hitting the next party and heading to Europe and doing their hot girl summers. And it's just feels like it's hard to get away from it. Is there, I don't know, any advice you might have, or just, we've discussed it a little bit, but maybe if there's any other hot takes or hot tips you might have for the people listening.
I don't even, FOMO used to be such a thing for me.
Right.
In sobriety, I don't have it.
You're like, I don't care.
I don't care.
That's
like
kind of
the
amazing.
party, and maybe that's just where I'm at, like in my life. Like I'm in my early 30s. I'm like eager to sort of settle down a little bit more, grow my business, like be with my niece and nephew, be with my boyfriend, be with my family. Like that's what I'm about these days.
For sure. Which is a happy place to be.
Yeah. It's funny. You're sitting here like, so how do you feel about like the nightlife? I'm like, there's still nightlife. People still go out. Like I don't even know that anymore, because I've catered my entire feed. Or not my feed, but my Explore
your feed
page.
and your life. Yeah. Both online and offline.
My Explore page is completely wellness and sober focus.
You fixed it. So that was a redundant question.
But that's okay. No, it's good. Let's really hammer that point home.
I know. No, it's true though, because I think no matter how you spin it to young people, I keep saying young people, it could be anyone at any age that wants to find sobriety.
It's true.
But I guess specifically for young people, I just think about the way that alcohol has been spun to be this positive chic influence that it just simply isn't. So I think that's kind of what needs to be discussed more in the media is the rebrand of alcohol. And to your point, like in 10 years, it probably will be looked at the way that cigarettes were looked at, which is, oh my God, like people are still smoking. Like, you know, people make like, you're choosing to do that. And whereas alcohol somehow has always been this very normalized sport.
And elevated, as you said, too, in this way.
It almost feels like there is a like a social status tied to it as well. Like, what are you drinking or what do you drink? And like, you know, whether it's good or bad. Like my whole friend group knows me as someone that only loves high-end champagne. That's not a good thing. And again, I don't mean to promote that, but I just like, there's like there does feel like there's a social tie to it
There
as
100%
well,
is.
which
and
is
it's
crazy.
hard to break out of that. It really is hard to break out of it. But I can just say that you don't regret the nights that you didn't get wasted.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. Like, you can have your FOMO about missing an event, but it's not like, oh man, I really wish I drank that whole bottle of, you name it, you know? I think that there is something really elevated. And that's what we tried to encapsulate in these cans, is like a sophisticated adult beverage. This is not a juice box.
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, not a Diet Coke. It's elevated.
And what do you want people to feel when they crack open a can of Teen Spirit?
I love that. I want them to feel like they have made a great decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's about more than just that one can, right? It's you've made a really good choice.
Mm-hmm. For mind, body, spirit. If you had to summarize your digital take on entrepreneurship in 2025, what would it be?
A roller coaster.
Yeah, and it ain't stopping anytime soon.
No, it's not. But I am here for the ride.
Yeah.
Like, I was an entrepreneur before I got sober, and I do attribute some of my, disease, my alcoholism, to entrepreneurship and the struggles of it, not dealing with it properly. So I think that with the coping mechanisms that I now have in place and the strategies that I have in place for my own personal wellness,
you can tackle the world.
For the ride. Yes, exactly.
I love that. I'm so appreciative of your time today.
Likewise.
And your openness. Can you please share with everyone where they can find Team Spirits?
Absolutely. So we are going to be online at drinkteamspirits.com.
Amazing.
But we are going to be at your local bottle shop as well. And if we aren't at your local non-alc bottle shop, you should ask them to get Team Spirits in your local non-alc bottle shop.
Wait, what is a bottle shop? Like a beer store?
No. So there's
like, are you in
there's
the beer
these
store?
So Sober Market is one of them, for example.
Wait, no way.
Yes, it's like an
Okay,
LCBO.
clearly, I need to rebrand my
your Instagram. No,
Instagram.
So yeah, there are bottle shops popping up. There are hundreds across Canada
this is
and the
amazing.
US
Okay,
together.
cool.
Yeah, and so that's where we are right now, is like specialty markets and stuff like that. And so
we need you in grocery stores. We need you accessible to everybody.
I would love to be.
You will be.
I hope so. Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes. Thank you so much, Torri.
Thank you, Jordan. This has been so nice.
Yes.
And that was another episode of That Digital Take. We'll see you on the next one. Love you. Mean it. Bye.